Summer League is finally here, my friends, and I have the full lowdown on everything Bulls related. We've got the players on the roster and their scouting reports. We've got the times, the dates of all the games, where you can watch them, and who to look out for specifically. I'm Ross, this is Arturis Fan Club, and hey, I just dropped a really good video yesterday about tampering. If you guys haven't checked that out, make sure to watch it and make sure to hit the subscribe button. That was a really fun one. I've gotten some really good feedback from it. So it sounds like people are learning. Hopefully we get a quick and good resolution to this whole tampering situation. But if you want to learn more about it, I'll leave the link for that video in the description. It's a really good watch. And hey, if you want exclusive content, I'm your plug. Exclusive Bulls content for $4.99 a month in the Arturis Super Fan Club. I'm working on a Zach LaVine Team USA film breakdown for the Super Fan Club right now. There's 2 other Super Fan Club exclusive videos that are already up. You can find links to those in the description to see if you want to join. You can see the title and the thumbnail of the video, and if it interests you, maybe you want to join it. Maybe you don't. Maybe you hate me. I don't know why you're watching this video, but either way, thank you guys so much for the support. It means a lot to me. So, we got a lot to talk about in terms of Summer League because I scouted every single player on the Summer League roster. Why do I do this to myself? I don't know. These are guys, most of them are guys who like flamed out of the NBA, just kind of bounced around from G League team to G League team. Some of them are undrafted free agents that we've already talked about actually in a previous video. So those guys I'll kind of breeze through. I'll kind of breeze through all of them because for one, you're going to be watching them, and two, it's not super important. I'm just a nerd. But I assume if you're watching this video, you're also a nerd for Bulls basketball, which means you're in good company. The schedule. Let's talk about the schedule first. Let's get that out of the way. So as I come to you, today is the 8th, but you might be watching this on the 9th. I'm not totally sure, but Monday, August 9th is when our first Summer League game against the New Orleans Pelicans takes place. So that's not awkward at all. Hi guys, just embroiled in a league-wide controversy with you right now. Let's play some Summer League games. So that'll be at 2 p.m. on August 9th. And all of these games will be available to watch through the ESPN app. As far as I could tell, none of our games are going to be televised on television. But like I have a smart TV and like it has the ESPN app. I'll probably be able to watch it on that, but you have to log in with a cable provider. So that's kind of the caveat. There are ways to find these games on the internet. Just throwing that out there. Maybe send me a DM on Twitter if you can't find it. But all of these games, from what I understand, will be available in the ESPN app on your phone, or if you have a smart TV, but they're not going to be televised on like ESPN2 or any of those channels, from what I was able to find. So kind of a bummer, but the Bulls are going to fly under the radar a little bit. And we've got some players to be excited about. So I'm kind of excited about the idea of maybe some of these guys showing us something good and they, like I said, fly under the radar so there's no teams trying to poach them. I mean, every team is always looking, and I'm sure they have scouts at all these games, but I'll let you know which guys I think have the best chance of making the roster once we get to that. So first game, Monday, August 9th, New Orleans Pelicans at 2 p.m. Central Time. Is when you'll catch that game. The next day, on August 10th, we're going to play against the San Antonio Spurs, this time at 7 p.m. Central Time, so kind of a prime time slot. Our third game is going to be versus Minnesota on August 12th, and that's at 3 p.m. And then the fourth game of the already created schedule, because there is a possibility the Bulls go to the playoff tournament. But the fourth game that's scheduled right now is on August 15th, and that's at 9 p.m. against the Memphis Grizzlies. So New Orleans, San Antonio, Minnesota, Memphis. Those are the 4 teams we're playing. And like I said, there is the possibility that the Bulls advance to the playoff tournament, and we'll talk about that when we get to that. But for now, those are the games that we have scheduled. And we're going to get into the players. This is going to be an exciting time because, as you guys already know and we've already talked about, Patrick Williams, Marko Simonovic, Ayo Dosunmu, Devon Dotson, they're all going to be there. They're all going to be playing in the Summer League, which is super exciting on its own. But we've talked about that. We've kind of talked that to death. I'm excited to talk about some of the guys who are flying under the radar, who maybe you've never heard of, who have a chance to maybe impress us and turn some heads. And a couple of these guys, like I said, I feel like we could be seeing them stick around, either in the form of a 2-way contract or in the G League, or maybe someone gets an invite to the roster. We don't know. But let's get into them. The first guy that I wanted to talk about, and once again, I said Devon Dotson, Patrick Williams, Marco Simonovic, Iota Sunu, they will all be there. You guys know about those players. I feel like I don't really need to dive too deep in them. We've talked about them a lot. So I'm going to focus on the guys that are coming onto the roster that we haven't talked about yet. And starting off with actually a familiar face. So we've talked about him, but not recently. And that's Simi Shitu. You guys remember Simi Shitu from last year's preseason? He went off in the preseason. He had like a come from behind victory, or helped lead a come from behind victory. Like, the dude has experience with the Bulls. He's got NBA experience. He played in the G League last year. He's got that experience that I feel like will really help him coming into the Summer League against a lot of players that don't have experience, because that's what the Summer League is generally for, young guys who are still getting their footing in the NBA. So Simi Shitu is a very good rebounder. He can get to the rack. He's a forward, but he plays kind of like a point forward. He's able to pass. He's got really good vision. But like I said, he's strong when he gets into the paint. He has a really high motor. He's a smart player. He can recognize coming off of when he sets a screen, he can recognize when he should attack, and when he should hang back. Like I said, good, willing passer. Not much of a shooter, not a good shooter at all, actually, but that's not really what we're going to ask him to do. We don't really want him to be taking shots. He sometimes takes bad shots and turns the ball over. So we don't want to put him in those positions. We want to try to get him down low, and get him in position on some defenders, to get some easy paint buckets. He's not a great defender. That's not really his thing, but he has shown some flashes of being able to defend in the paint, which is what we need. We absolutely need a guy with Simi Shitu's skill set. We have shooting. We've got plenty of shooting. So Simi Shitu is one of the guys that I could see sticking around, mainly because he's already shown us last preseason that he's good enough to stick around, and he has the skills that we are lacking right now, and in terms of like a down low post kind of player. So Simi Shitu, welcome back to the Chicago Bulls. Very excited to see him play. Another guy that I feel like could turn some heads for us at the Summer League. The next three guys I'm going to talk about, I have talked about before. So these are the guys that I made a video about, I think last week, talking about the undrafted free agents that the Bulls are bringing in for Summer League. These guys are Ethan Thompson, who's a guard, Ryan Daly, who's a guard, and Troy Baxter Jr., who's a forward. Out of those three guys, I am most excited to see Troy Baxter Jr. Ethan Thompson, a very good scorer, similar to Iota Sunu, has a lot of the same measurables, good defender. Ryan Daly, similar, good scorer, combo guard, just not much of a playmaker, but still an okay defender. But Troy Baxter Jr., this dude has hops. I encourage you to go look up his highlight tape. If I show it here, I'm gonna get in trouble, but very athletic. He's got hops, man. Him and Zach LaVine could be the new Lob City. This dude can dunk it. This dude can yam it. He is fun to watch, and I feel like he is gonna have a few highlight plays in Summer League. So Troy Baxter Jr., a guy to watch out for sure. The next guy that I have on here is Jalen Adams, who's a guard. He's a guy who has NBA experience. He's played for the Hawks, Blazers, and Bucks, also in the G League. Not a lot to say. He's a good passer, has some catch and shoot ability. He's a solid on-ball defender, and he uses his size well. So a guy to watch for sure. But once again, one of those guys that I mentioned earlier that just kind of like hop around the league trying to make a name for themselves. Not necessarily a guy that I feel like is gonna shine, which is no disservice to him, no discredit to him, but like we have a lot of guards who are going to be playing, and he might be on the outside looking in. We'll see. Jerome Robinson, another guard, another guy with NBA experience, is a very good shooter, has good ball skills. He's able to create his own shot. He uses pump fakes and crossovers to free himself up. Not really an ISO player, just capable of creating his own shot off the dribble, things like that. He can facilitate or he can score off ball. He's good at doing both of those. He's a solid on-ball defender, but he's not super strong, so if he gets back down into the paint by stronger guards or forwards, he usually is free cheese. He's not the fastest, not the most athletic when it comes to like his first step. Sometimes just gets totally stonewalled trying to take that first step into the lane. Just not a physically imposing player like that. He could flash, considering the NBA experience, He started games for the Wizards, so there could be something there. You know, I predict a guy like him who has that NBA experience, who started at the NBA level, to come in with a certain gravitas, maybe, against players who haven't before. So he's a guy that I feel like we could watch him and be like, oh, like, yeah, he looks like a guy who's played in the NBA. So certainly a name that I think you should watch for. But there's probably a reason that he's, you know, been passed around a bit throughout the league. The next guy that I have on here is Omari Spellman, who's a center/forward. The name might sound familiar for you. He won a national championship with Villanova. He was selected 30th overall by the Hawks in 2018. So we're talking about a former first rounder. I know, very last pick of the first round, but this guy did go in the first round. He spent a lot of time in the G League. He likes to play a stretch 5 role. He had weight issues earlier in his career, but it's something that he's worked on. Has a nice face-up game. He's a good rebounder. He can get blocks and steals. He's not the fastest, and sometimes he runs out of steam. He's prone to making mistakes, sometimes takes bad shots or takes bad fouls on defense. In a lot of ways, he reminds me of Boogie, a guy with that kind of skill set. Obviously, not as good as Prime Boogie, but similar skill set, I would say, and similar style to his game. I see a lot of similarities there. So another guy to watch for sure. I'm not sure if he's the kind of guy I see flashing, but we do need front court depth. So if he does, more power to you. The next guy I want to talk about is Tyler Bey. And this is a name that a lot of Bulls fans have actually been getting excited about. Tyler Bey is another guy that has G League and NBA experience, though very limited. This is his second year, so he still has a ton of potential coming into his second season in the stratosphere of the NBA. He's very explosive. He can play the 3 or the 4, a guy with a lot of versatility. We talk about versatility all the time on this channel. That's because that's what Arturas Karnisovas and Mark Eversley value in players. They like guys who can defend multiple positions, who could play multiple positions, and this is exactly what Tyler Bey does. He can defend 2 through 4. He can play 3 through 4. He's a two-way player. He's a very good defender, and he has a full bag of tricks on offense. Not the best shooter. His shooting form has actually come a long way since college. He's been working on it ever since college. His shot mechanics have always been kind of clunky, and not a great long distance shooter, but that's not to say he's a bad scorer. He still has the ability to score. He's very efficient when he is scoring. And he works his ass off. That's something that I kept seeing pop up in all these scouting reports that I read, is that this guy is committed to becoming a great player. He works his ass off. He's a very hard worker, has a very high motor. So the kind of guy that I could definitely see flashing, and the kind of guy that I feel like maybe the Bulls would want to keep around to see how his career progresses. And he has skills that we need: someone who can play the 4, someone who can defend multiple positions. We definitely need that depth on the wing. So a guy to absolutely be alert about is Tyler Bey, and I'm excited to see how he plays. The last guy that I have on here is Sterling Manley, who's a center. He's an undrafted free agent. It was hard to find a lot of information about this guy. He kind of flew under the radar, like big time, but he's able to score in the low post. He's a good rebounder. He's good on defense. He can block some shots, but he does get in foul trouble. Has a high motor. He's a really good athlete, and he can score on off-ball motion plays, so he moves really well without the ball. He did miss an entire season after he suffered a knee injury, which is definitely something to be concerned about. But, you know, once again, a guy who likely is not to make the team, unfortunately, but someone who maybe could make a name for himself and maybe stick on with another team elsewhere. Sterling Manley, not trying to be a dick. We do need a defensive-minded center. Well, yeah, we do have Tony Bradley now, so maybe not. Not the kind of guy that I see sticking around, if I'm being totally honest about it. And I am being totally honest when I give you guys these draft scouting reports, and when I do these summer league scouting, any kind of scouting report, I try to be as honest as possible, just because, like, for one, the players will never see this, so I'm not scared about hurting their feelings. And two, I just want you guys to know, like, realistically what to expect. Because we definitely do that sometimes. We're like, oh, this guy's a great athlete. This guy's an amazing shooter. This guy's such a good defender. Like, he could totally play at the NBA level. Like, let's get this guy in here for summer league, and we'll sign him to a contract, and he'll be one of our best players. Realistically, most of these guys will never play heavy minutes in the NBA. And some of them, I mean, aside from the guys that we know are making the team, like the Patrick Williams and the Marko Simonoviches of the world, some of these guys probably will never play with a Bulls jersey ever again. Sobering reality, sorry. Not here to be a Debbie Downer, but definitely want to temper those expectations. But like, with all that said, all that out of the way, the guys that I think we should be watching for are Simi Shitu, a guy who's already shown flashes as a member of the Chicago Bulls. Trey Baxter Jr., a guy who is going to be a high flyer, easy highlight reel kind of dude. You're going to see him dunking all over the place, I'm sure. And then Jerome Robinson, a guy with NBA experience who I feel like will come in, not really a veteran, but definitely has the experience to carry himself above some of these young, inexperienced players that come into the summer league. And then lastly, Tyler Bay, who's a guy that I feel like fits a lot of the needs that we have on the wing right now. And being so young and having so much potential, I could see the Bulls wanting to try to keep him around to see how he progresses in his career. So those are your Chicago Bulls Summer League players. That is your roster. You now know the schedule, you now know the players, you know who to watch, you know where to watch them, and you know when to watch them. I think we covered everything. I think I did it. I think I did an okay job. I was trying to read off my script, but also look at you guys. It's not the easiest thing to do because I have consumed so much knowledge recently about these players. Sometimes they all start to blur together. So thank you for bearing with me through that. But thank you guys for watching once again. If you want to join the Super Fan Club, it's only $4.99 a month. It supports me directly. And like I said at the jump, I'll have a link in the description for the kind of videos that you can come to expect if you join the Super Fan Club. And consider it, because like I said, it supports me directly. The money goes directly to the stream and the feed. Everything that I get out of this, I put right back into it. Upgrading equipment, spending my time researching all of these players. Those are things that, take time out of my life, and I would like to do it full time one day. And I can't do that without your support. So thank you guys so much for all the support lately. The love has been amazing. Really, I can't express how much I appreciate it. So you guys are the best. Thank you so much for watching, and we will talk very soon.